Hello everyone, my name is SonickFreek8's and today I've got myself another baddie video for you guys. This is a tier list video, surprisingly enough. I was very intrigued by ZetsyZoocumber doing a video on his take on the tier list. So ZetsyZoocumber did his tier list his own way, kind of like his more preferred guns. Like he has some favorites like the MP5, MP7. He put like weapons like the Honey Badger and the quote-unquote meta guns in like the very bottom of the list. I'm like, okay, that's confusing. So me being the very try-hardy person I am, let's just put it simply, I'm gonna more do this tier list kind of like on my personal experiences with the gun and with the guns, and I guess how just really powerful they are, actually, just how they compete against the other guns. I'm gonna be more in depth with this, so yeah, that's personally how I like to see a tier list. Clearly not everyone would like to do their tier list that way, but just me personally, just I don't know, it just makes sense. First things first, I see the AS Val. This is a top tier gun for sure. This has SMG levels of fire rate, quite accurate over range, especially with attachments. Just recently got its revamp as well. You can put a 30 round on it. You can make it really good for hip fire, make this thing a complete beamer at range. It's pretty much got everything, and it has pretty much one of, if not the fastest time to kill in the game, competing with the MAC-10's ACP rounds. This thing is a beast. It is almost unmatched in terms of primaries, so this is definitely a force to be reckoned with, and a gun that you definitely would want to get your hands on. Next thing is the AUG. I've heard the AUG is really strong, and it's still meta, so I'll put this gun on S tier. The last time I used the AUG was like a while ago. The last time I used the AUG was when I was finishing up Damascus Gold on it, and I haven't touched it since, but when I was using it, this thing is strong. It kills fast for only like, I think it's like somewhere between 780, 800 rounds per minute. Pretty short magazine for SMGs, but this thing has good handling and mobility, pretty accurate over range. This thing kills fast. It is a top tier gun for a reason, and that's why that is S tier. ARX. This thing is very accurate over range. Very good assault rifle, kills pretty quickly. It's kind of like the mix of a Galil and M16, I feel. And it has a faster rate of fire than the other two, I think. It doesn't have attachments yet, of course, but it doesn't really need it, like right now. But it'd be pretty cool if we got a revamp. I'm gonna put it on A tier just for safety. I personally like this gun quite a lot. We'll go at it with the Famas. This Famas is really good, especially with the auto fire on it. It is mwah, chef's kiss, awesome. I'm putting it in A tier for sure. Even without full auto, this thing can kill fast. It's just it requires accuracy to get through, to get your shots in and kill quickly. With either or, this thing can definitely get the job done. It fires relatively fast, and I think at 900 rounds per minute. Put like extended mags on it. Marksman barrel makes this thing almost have no recoil. It is definitely a gun that I would recommend trying out, especially with full auto. Honey Badger, even with the nerfs, this thing is still strong at close range, and it can still be beaming up to medium long ranges. By the way, this is in no specific order, like for this tier list. Honey Badger, I don't think it's meta anymore because of the AS Val pretty much taking its place, but it's still a really strong gun. There's no denying that. Even though it's lost its five shot kill at close range, like its minimum damage range, it is still a really fast killing gun. It still reloads fast, definitely, especially with sleight of hand. This thing can definitely be controlled well at range. It is still a really good gun, so definitely would recommend trying it out as well. Next thing here, we got the G36C. This thing got recently nerfed, and Ethan thinks it's over nerfed, but he'll be looking into it. Right now, I consider this a B tier. This is definitely a good starter gun, of course, because, you know, there's almost no recoil on this thing. Makes it really easy to use at long range. Or pretty much just any range in general. You put this thing with a compensated grip, that's all you need, really. The rest is just history, I guess. And I guess a sight, too, because the iron sights are really poor on the G36C, personally. I really do not like them, but all you need is a compensated grip, red dot, you will be beaming people at any range, trust me. That's all you need. Just that's how little recoil this thing has. It's still a really good gun. AK is the same thing. All you really need is like one recoil reducing attachment or compensated grip, and you're good with this thing. Or angled too, because angled, it actually has a decent amount of horizontal recoil. But this thing is still quite the beamer as well. At 3 taps to the head at really long range, actually. I don't know the specific ranges, but it does 3 tap out to pretty long range. So there you go. AK is still relatively good. Galil, same thing. Putting it in on B tier is really accurate gun. Now more so comparable to the G36C with its nerf. Is definitely going to be beaming people, killing fast as well. I'm not sure if I would recommend it for close range, but you know, I could be saying that for these three in particular, but it's whatever. I personally liked the Galil as well. Had a really good time using it. The G18 is definitely a good secondary. I want to put this at least B tier. I'll put it in B tier for now. The G18 is a really good secondary. I feel like it gets overshadowed by the MAC-10, but the G18 definitely does work. It kills fast at close range. It doesn't have like an extended mag, of course. It doesn't have its own attachments. You can just put yourself, you can just make it like a just pure backup weapon. It has relatively low recoil as well. You can just put something like steady shot and you're good to go. You can run something like a backup secondary with like tac holster or something. Really good secondary. Deagle I feel is actually pretty decent as well. Has 7-round mag, can two tap anywhere out to a pretty good distance. This thing is good too, definitely. Iron sights are pretty poor. You could put on iron sights though to compensate it. No attachments though, so of course that's a bummer. Good secondary as well. I definitely see people using the Deagle over the Magnum, so rip to the Magnum for now. FMG9. This thing is underpowered. I feel like this thing is like really underrated for what it does. It's definitely one of the better SMGs in the category, that's for sure. It kills fast, really good handling, definitely controllable recoil as well. I'll put this in B tier for now. G17, this is one of the worst pistols in the game, I feel. When I was grinding Damascus Gold for this, I had a horrible time with this gun. I just can't aim down sights with this thing, even with sights and steady shot. It just does not feel right to me. I only really got my kills with hip firing, but that's not to say that it doesn't really kill fast. I mean, it can 3-tap, and of course, it has a 17-round mag. For a semi-auto pistol, that's a large magazine. That doesn't beat out the Tech 9, but it's still quite a large magazine. I'll put it in C tier. I might consider it down to D, but so far, not really good opinions on the G17. The Judge. I can't complain about the Judge. Like, this thing is still strong. The reload was nerfed a while ago, but you could just all you really need is put sleight of hand on it. Almost where its full glory comes back. It's still a pocket shotgun. Pocket shotguns are pretty busted just from the idea itself. It's a really forgiving shotgun too. I pretty much just kill people with 1 to 2 shots with the Judge most of the time, sometimes 4 shots, because, you know, shotgun inconsistency. But this thing is definitely secondary to use if you're considering a really reliable secondary. The DSR. This is definitely an A tier gun for sure. This thing 1-taps to the chest at all ranges. That's already busted in itself. It's one of the only snipers that can kill to the torso, the other being the AWP, but the AWP only kills up to a specific range to the torso. If it goes any farther, it's a 1-tap to the head. So DSR, very strong sniper, if not the strongest sniper right now, for sure. Luger, I want to say the Luger's good, honestly. I've been performing quite well with the Luger, but it does have problems with it. It only has an 8-round mag. It's pretty much like the M1911, but like not really as strong. I believe it has more headshot damage. You cannot put a sight on it though, which really sucks because I absolutely hate the irons on this thing, of course, for being a World War II weapon. So realistically, if I were to be basing more on my opinion, it'd be B tier, but I'm gonna just put it on the C tier for now. Greatsword, this thing is C or D tier, like realistically. If you get to your ranges at close range and just hit someone with this thing is absolutely busted. There is nothing you can do about it. Once they get in close range with the Greatsword, you're practically it. They're just gonna hit you with the client side, bam, 1 shot, you're dead. This thing has absurd range. I'm gonna put it in C tier. I'm not denying the Greatsword's power in close range, but it takes a full second to swing and hit your targets with, so it's best if you do it in when you're about to turn a corner, or you know someone's gonna rush up to you or something like that. AKA, this thing still takes some skill despite its powerfulness. The MP5. This MP5 is good, definitely. With the recent revamp, this thing is definitely got the buffs it deserves. The attachments are awesome. I love the SD barrel. I love the speedy MP5K builds. I just love everything that I can do about the MP5. Really good gun. Of course, it doesn't compare to something like the AUG, but you know, the AUG is built different, literally. The MP5 is definitely a gun that can definitely contend with other guns in general. Really good at close range too. Just undeniably a really good gun. M16. M16 is B tier. This is a gun that really only suits for specific ranges. It is not good at close range whatsoever. It's really slow rate of fire at only 600 rounds per minute. It is fairly accurate at medium to long range, especially if you put an angled grip and just have like either steady shot and a sight, you're pretty much good to go with this thing's long range capabilities. It does 3 tap to the head as far as its like closest kill ranges. It is still a relatively good gun. It's just, you know, compared to something to like the Galil or G360, it is not as good at long range as those guns. The gyro. Gyro kind of sucks, won't lie. Tactical suppressor makes this thing definitely better, that's for sure, because of how the reducing damage ranges works for something like the gyro and the sniper rifles. If I'm being honest, if you're just gonna mainly use it as like a secondary and just have it as a backup weapon, this thing is like the worst to have because it does worse damage at close range. But if you're using it as a pocket sniper, this thing will kill in 2 shots at any range, at any long range, and will 1 tap to the head. Definitely good in those aspects, but other than that, it is not really that good of a secondary. It only has 6 rounds in the mag too, so definitely not something worth considering if you're going to use it as a typical secondary. So putting that in D tier. M1 Garand, I hate this thing. I absolutely hate this thing. I cannot aim with it for my life. It does 1 tap to the head. It only has 8 rounds though. It doesn't really have much going for it. I think the SKS and even the M14 are better than this thing, and I personally don't have much experience with it either. It's just overall, I really do not like the M1 Garand. I don't think it's really that good either, especially in terms of other rifles in its category. Double barrel. Cannot deny this thing's power. This thing is a 1-tap at surprising ranges. Just put sleight of hand on it, you're pretty much unstoppable. Even the AUG won't be able to kill you with this thing. Vertical grip, stipple tape, laser. I don't think you can put lasers on shotguns. Yeah, you can, but you can still just put on sleight of hand, vertical grip. You're good to go with the double barrel. This thing I hate. I hate going up against it. I really do. M4. This thing is still strong. Even with like its nerfs. It's pretty much constant nerfs at this point. The M4, you just can't nerf this thing in terms of its like, in terms of how versatile it is. It is the gun to run if you're just trying to have a good assault rifle experience. This thing can do everything. It can beam. It can do good at close range. It pretty much is the TAR-21, but it's better and bigger brother, basically, now. Especially when the TAR-21 got nerfed. M4 definitely still strong to this day. The model. I actually like the model a lot. This thing, I believe, kills the farthest out of all the shotguns. Can't really, like, differentiate between the two in terms of how far they can kill between the double barrel and the model, but the model is definitely a strong shotgun for sure. One of, if probably not the best shotgun. Don't have much experience with it because I don't actually own the weapon, but definitely a shotgun, a good shotgun from what I've played with in like randomizer and gun game. The M249. This thing is so underrated. I see no one using this thing. This thing beams. This thing has low recoil, really good damage numbers for how low recoil this thing is. It has 120 rounds in the magazine. This thing is strong. I don't see why people are using it more often. I mean, I personally haven't gotten the time to use it because I've been focusing on leveling up my guns, but this thing, from what I've been playing it with since the alpha, this thing has not received any changes and is still very strong. I can see this being like, I can see this definitely destroying probably even some of the top tier guns, won't lie. Probably not the AS Val, but probably something like the AUG, maybe. We'll see though. I definitely consider this M249 to be strong, especially with its very soon approaching revamp. I'm excited for that. We'll see what the future holds for it. The Katana. This thing is busted. You cannot do anything to a Katana once it get close to you. They just spam. This thing has really good range. It 2 taps when backstabbing. It has melee speeds of mobility. There's nothing you can do about a Katana once it get close to you. It's actually over for you. A competent Katana user will just mow you down. There's nothing you can do about the Katana. It is stupid broken. A Scar. The Scar is what I've been from recent plays with the Scar, this thing is strong. It's gotten nerfed for a reason. The Scar H is really good at practically any range. It 3 taps to the head. It only has 20 rounds in the mag, but it kills relatively fast at all ranges. I can't say much about my personal experience because I really haven't used the Scar H much. I can say the same for pretty much more than half the guns here, but for what I've been going up against with the Scar H, this thing is a monster. It really is. I recommend you guys trying it out. Definitely an A tier gun for sure. Okay, this is the rolling block. This is a C tier. This thing 1-taps to the head and torso at up to like sniper rifle ranges, I believe like 300 studs or something, which then it becomes a 1-tap at all ranges, I think. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but this thing isn't very forgiving. It only has 1 round in the mag. If you miss, you have to reload it every single time. Iron sights are horrible on this thing, not suited for long range at all with them. But you can put a sight on it, which is a good thing. The reload can be compensated with sleight of hand, but you know, you gotta put work into the gun in order to get that. It definitely rewards accuracy as well, because you know, only 1 round in the mag, but you are definitely rewarded because you're pretty much guaranteed to kill if you hit your shot with it. But it's definitely not a good gun overall to use reliably. Riot Shield, I want to say at least it's B tier. Yeah, I want to say it's at least B tier. Riot Shield, the fact that you can cover bullets from behind by wearing it on your back, just makes it already annoying in itself. When people with Riot Shields get close range to you, they can just hit you with 2 taps and you're dead. It's slow though. It's one of the slowest mobilities stats in the game. It also has a relatively slow attack speed for it as well, considering what it does. It does block bullets though, like at the front as well, of course. So just blocking bullets in general is already just stupidly powerful enough, and I don't think it's able to protect you from headshots from the back. But again, just in itself, blocking bullets just makes you survive. Just makes you have a better chance of surviving. And you know, the Riot Shield, that's just its main purpose is to block bullets. Purpose. Yes, purpose. Definitely at least a B tier secondary, if not probably higher. Snowball Launcher, this thing is disgusting bad, like really, really bad. This thing has projectile velocity for automatic. It has really slow rate of fire, has pretty slow reload, doesn't even do that good of damage. This is definitely one of, if not the worst primary in the game. I'm sorry. Let's get the PPK in here. The PPK is definitely a good secondary. It still has the best handling stat in the game. It's pretty much the go-to backup weapon for just like if you're caught off guard, you could just instantly swap this, especially if you put stipple tape in tactical holster. You have 156 handling to work with. You pretty much pull this thing out instantly. You can have a drum mag on it. It's fully automatic. It's integrated silencer. This thing is just all the good qualities of a backup pistol, and I love it. It also like 3 taps to the head at close range. It does good damage, just overall. Yeah, I personally like it a lot. I'm gonna put it in an A tier, honestly. This thing is definitely a good secondary to run, and I recommend you guys trying that out. The new UMP, this is also a really good gun. I've seen some crazy builds with this thing, and this is definitely something that can kill at surprising ranges. You can have a drum mag on it. This thing, you can literally have the fastest mobility stat in the game right now with 114 with Civi Mag, lightweight, and folded stock. Just for the memes, it's freaking awesome. Has a relatively fast TTK. If you have like a compensated or a steady shot on this thing, it will have almost no recoil. It's literally its main drawback is the camera shake, and the iron sights are not too great, but they are usable for sure. Definitely a really good submachine gun. The revamp gave it some justice. All right, let's talk about the op real quick. The op is strong. It is quite strong. It is an A tier sniper for sure. The fact that you can wash out the torso again is really strong. It only does though at specific ranges, but you can like extend that range with extended barrel and monolithic suppressor. You can have an extended mag, making it up to 9 rounds. Conversion is bad though. It makes it a Sako. Don't use the conversion honestly. And you can be built for ADS speed, which is what its main purpose. It's like a quick scoping sniper. You can still use it at range, but you know, speed is king with this thing. It, of course, you know, all snipers rewards accuracy, but one shot to the torso, it's pretty forgiving. You'll get some pretty nasty kills with this thing. Definitely a really good sniper rifle. Tower 21. This thing is still a good gun. It's less powerful than the M4 now, because the M4 literally has better stats across the board. Has a better reload. I believe has the same rate of fire, but it has like more handling and mobility. So rip the TAR, because it got nerfed pretty bad. The TAR is still a strong gun, no doubt about that. I've used recoil reducing attachment. This thing can beam at relatively long ranges, so this thing can still be used. It's a shadow of its former self, basically. It used to be the most used gun in the game, now it's not. I don't see anyone really using it anymore, but it's still a really strong gun. I recommend you try that out as well. Oh, I see a Mac 10 in here. This thing is S tier, of course. I've made a video about a specific setup relating to the Mac 10. There is no other secondary like the Mac 10. It is literally a submachine gun in the secondary category. And a really powerful secondary at that. You put Black Op Barrel and APC mag on it, this thing has the fastest time to kill in the game. Nothing will compete to it at close range. It won't. Even without the ACP mag, it is still really good. It can have a 60 round drum mag. It still is it shoots relatively fast. I mean, 900 rounds per minute is still fast. It can kill fast for sure. Again, with the drum mag, the Black Op Barrel increases it to 945, which makes it kill even faster. You can build it from ability if you want. It is really controllable recoil. This thing is just the best secondary in the game. I'm sorry, it really is. This thing can beat out a Katana user any day. This is Poleaxe. I'm putting it all the way at the bottom. Poleaxe is horrible. That's 2 of the Flail too. Flail is gone. Flail is also bad. It 3 hits. Why would a melee attacking that slow 3 hit? It sucks. And it has good coverage though. It has pretty good range for the Flail, but pretty bad. Poleaxe, not even gonna mention about the Poleaxe. Y'all should know how bad that thing is. SMO3, this is a pretty disgusting gun. It actually is. I didn't think it'd be as strong as it was. 3 taps at close range. It was pretty much an AR before its nerf. And even with its nerf, it is still really strong at the ranges it goes up against. You put a compensated, you put sleight of hand, monolithic, you're pretty much good to go with the SMO3 at that point. You can build it from ability too if you wanted to. This thing is just a really powerful submachine gun. I really underestimated this thing. I recommend you guys trying that out as well. Scar Hammer. I've been hearing that the Scar Hammer is a lot more powerful than it seems, but I really haven't gotten much use out of it to try it out. But like, I believe a few days ago when I was having it on randomizer, I was just blowing people away with this hammer. There's a little trick that makes this thing just even more busted with like skipping its its ramp up with its rate of fire. Although I'm not really gonna explain it because there's a video for it somewhere. I'm not gonna tell you where. Yeah, if I'll be honest, I'm gonna put this thing at least B tier. This thing is actually a really strong gun. It has 50 rounds in the mag. It has a pretty decent reload for the magazine size that it has. The ramp up is slow. It shoots at like 500, 600 rounds per minute within the first 7 bullets or so. But then it ramps up to like 750, maybe even 800 rounds per minute. And this thing will shred through groups once it reaches that point. So definitely a gun that I recommend you guys would like to try out as well. Let's talk about the L85. The L85 is good. I personally like it quite a lot. I've been enjoying it when I was grinding Damascus for it. I really want to try a specific build on it, but I haven't gotten the leveled it up to do so with the 7.62 rounds, and pretty much just making this thing a beamer at long range and killing fast. The Aries Strike. I like this gun a lot too. I mean, this is like my most used gun back when before attachments came out. And this thing shredded. It really did. I don't think I've received any changes since then, but I really like the gun. It has a 100 round magazine, I think. Has controllable recoil. That's really all. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, it's not as good as the M249, of course, but it has a higher rate of fire if you would like something like that for the Aries Strike. So definitely a fast killing weapon. Not as fast as, of course, the other weapons we've talked about, but it is definitely a gun that can get the job done. No doubt about that. I would recommend trying it out as well. All right, let's talk about the Magnum. Magnum is, in my personal opinion, a worse Deagle. Less magazine, worse damage ranges. I think it has worse recoil too, but It's not to say that the thing's not good. It definitely is a heavy hitting secondary. It can definitely be pretty reliable as well. It's just, you know, I don't find it as good as Deagle, honestly. Now that I think about it, I'm probably gonna bump up I might bump up the Deagle to A tier, but we'll see on that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's bump up the G18 and the Deagle up. Yeah, Magnum, not as good as the Deagle, but it is definitely a pretty good secondary. Raygun. This thing is still pretty good. Definitely not as strong as the A tier guns. This thing got nerfed, I think. Not sure. Either that or it got overpowered by the other guns. But that was a long time ago, though. I remember this thing used to be the most overpowered thing when it first came out. It's still pretty decent. It's fine. It's relatively slow. It has pretty good recoil, though, for longer range. 30 rounds in the mag, pretty decent reload. I see the gun works fine. Honestly, you can definitely get away with running this thing as your top weapon. It's just if you're going to compete against other better weapons, it's obviously not going to win gunfights against those. Especially not something like, of course, the AS Val. But, you know, it's a ray gun. What you gonna do? Bow and arrow. This is an interesting weapon. This thing actually one-shots to the torso at long range. Like out to, I believe, 200 studs at least. It has glints on the arrow. Same thing for the crossbow. It doesn't, I don't think it has well, assuming it does have perks, but that's all it has. This thing is surprisingly decent. I mean, it has one in the mag, but it can be reloaded really fast, like I think less than a second. So pretty good on that part. It's one shot to the torso means that if you get your shots in, you're going to be killing people. You're probably going to kill an entire group with this thing. I would not underestimate the bow. This thing is still pretty good. Definitely B tier at least. Mosin, I feel, is a pretty good feeling sniper rifle to use. I was getting pretty good headshots with this thing last time I was messing around with it. This thing, it feels good to use, I guess, if that makes any sense. I don't know how to really describe it. It's just a nice flowing sniper rifle to use. It just feels like you can get shots in when you're aiming down sights and get headshots. I would say that the Sako is statistically superior to the Mosin, but that's not to say that the Mosin is a bad sniper by any means. This thing is definitely good. And speaking of the Sako, put this thing right next to the Mosin. This is also a good sniper. It doesn't feel as good to the Mosin. It torsos for 110, which is a lot of damage. You can just shoot someone with the PPK and they're dead. It has 7 rounds in the mag, which is very good. It keeps you topped up a little longer for gunfights. Of course, once taps to the head at all ranges. Really high rate of fire for a bolt action sniper rifle. I'd say try out the Sako and see how your opinion is on it. Viking Axe. This is negligible. It's not as good as the Riot Shield in the sense that its attacks are you are more exposed to the front when you try to block bullets with this. Like, you're pretty much gonna get headshot immediately. But it pretty much uncovers your entire back. It even blocks headshots. If a person is aiming directly behind you, if they try to shoot you at the head, it's not gonna work. That shield is gonna keep you safe. It's just the only thing is your legs are gonna be exposed, and even then your legs are just constantly moving around. So you're gonna definitely have enough time to just turn around and shoot them if you want, but more so rethink your strategies on that. But in terms of protection, just like keeping yourself longer in the gunfight, the Viking Axe is superior to the Riot Shield in that sense, but the Riot Shield has more utility in the fact that you can pretty much block bullets in any direction, really, whereas the Viking Axe is just a combination of a true melee and, you know, actually blocking bullets. So in that sense, I don't really consider it to be better than the Riot Shield, but it still serves its purpose a little. The Skorpion. This thing sucks, unfortunately. I love the weapon, but it just sucks. Low recoil? Good thing. Low damage? Low rate of fire? 20 round mag? Bad thing. This is the worst machine pistol than of course, the MAC-10 and the G18. They are leagues above the Skorpion. This thing just doesn't have the stats. Like, again, the low rate of fire, it just makes it harder to kill people. 20 round mag, not very forgiving for accuracy. Low recoil, good thing. Just allows you to beam people, but it just doesn't have the damage. he's gonna get outgunned by pretty much every gun in the game, basically. Skorpion, not looking good. This thing needs a revamp, honestly. This thing needs some attachments to get this thing going, and some stat changes, of course. Let's go over the MP7. Definitely a good gun. Controllable recoil, of course. It's mainly known for its high rate of fire, low recoil. This thing could get the job done. It's a pretty good submachine gun, definitely. I felt pretty good actually using the MP7. It's just there's no way that this gun is just not a bad gun. That this thing is a bad gun, I mean. There are definitely guns that will outclass this MP7, but just overall, if you just want to have a good SMG to use and it's just versatile overall for close range combat, this MP7 will get the job done. I honestly really like the MP7. Actually really looking forward to its attachments in the future with like 60 round mag and stuff. P90. This thing is underwhelming. 50 round mag, good thing. Low recoil, extremely low recoil actually, good thing. Damage, very bad. This thing will get pretty much outshot by almost every submachine gun in the game. The good things are only for its recoil and magazine size. It's like the only submachine gun capable of 50 rounds outside of attachments, of course. You're not supposed to use this thing at range like at all. I mean, you can build it for literally no recoil, but you're not going to be really doing well at mid to long range with this thing. This is still meant as a close quarters combat weapon, and it's pretty much only going to be used for that, really. SKS. I actually really like the SKS. I won't lie. I don't know. It's just for some reason my personal experience with him while I was trying to get gold. This thing was like the most well-felt rifle out of all of them in the category. I've had my most fun with the SKS trying to get a gold than definitely the KEL-TEC and the Mark 14, because those were horrible experiences compared to the SKS. This thing 2-taps up to a pretty significant range, and also obviously 1-taps at like 350 studs plus. Only has 10 rounds in the mag, but has a pretty decent reload speed. It does really good damage for a rifle, and I would recommend you guys actually trying out the SKS. I don't know if it's just me, but you know, some people might actually be blown away by how strong this thing is for a rifle. The FAL, this thing is honestly underrated, I feel. You can really just like, I don't know how to really explain, but you can just really just if that makes any sense. You can really just tap fire fast with this thing. It can make it accurate at long range. It does a lot of damage for a semi-auto rifle in the assault rifle class. It can 3-tap at close range, I think, even without headshots. It has really good hip fire too for a semi-auto rifle. I don't understand why some people would find this underwhelming. I guess probably, if anything, it doesn't really feel good to shoot as an assault rifle. For now, I personally kind of like the FAL. If you guys haven't tried it out yet, I recommend you guys do. The Sten is decent. It's fine. I'm gonna put it B tier because this thing actually has really low recoil. For some reason, it just doesn't feel good to shoot in terms of actually controlling the recoil. Even with steady shot, it still has a lot of camera shake, but this thing can definitely be used at longer ranges, that's for sure. It has slow rate of fire, has pretty good damages, higher than average magazine size, but it's only like 2 extra bullets, but those 2 extra bullets can mean all the difference. I'd say you guys should try this out as well. Oh, the Bizon. I really like the Bizon. With the recent buff it got, it's now better at longer ranges. It already has pretty decent damage numbers. Its fire rate it's not too like too wow, fires fast. Like, if anything, it's like similar to the AUG, or maybe slower than the AUG. Controllable recoil, of course. It has a 44 round magazine. That's definitely higher than most submachine guns. Honestly, I think you guys should try this out as well, the Bizon. I feel like this thing is underrated as well. Dragunov. This also felt like a really good sniper for me, because, well, semi-automatic, 10 rounds by default. You can fire a lot faster. It's just the forgiveness on this thing just makes it feel good for some reason. I don't really know how to explain it in that sense, but with the attachments, it definitely makes it better. Put up to 20 rounds. You could build it for ADS speed. You could probably do it for recoil control, just to spam the thing if you wanted to. But in comparison to other sniper rifles, it's not really that good. But it's not to say that it's a bad one, that's for sure. Especially if you put a close range sight on it, you're probably going to be beaming with headshots. The Tech 9. This is A tier. Illegal mod makes this thing so much better. You could probably argue that it's better than the Mag 10 because of this. It still keeps its damage numbers despite being full auto, and that's really stupid. It pretty much has the same damage values as the PVK, where 3 taps to the head and it's a 4 shot to the body. And with full auto, that's like 600 rounds per minute, I think. 600, 500? I won't need to check, but it fires pretty fast for a semi-auto pistol that's going in full auto. So would definitely recommend you guys try out the TAC 9. Even without a legal mod, this thing is good to use as a secondary because it has 20 rounds in the mag, which is definitely the highest out of all the pistols. It also has good handling and a good reload speed as well for it. Would definitely recommend the TAC 9. AV revolver. This thing is pretty busted at close range, I won't lie. 1 tap to the head, 2 to 3 taps to the body. You can really spam this thing. The only really downside is its small magazine being revolver and only 6 rounds. Even with sleight of hand, it has a slow reload speed. Other than that, and it's like mainly a hipfire specific weapon because you're kind of like just holding it like a cowboy hand style. It's a pretty good close range secondary if you're willing to try this thing out. It's just, you gotta don't spam it like most people do. Make sure you actually line up your shots for it, and who knows, you might get the 1 tap to the head. MG44, this thing is underrated. Also B tier. 75 rounds in mag, very high rate of fire, good damage values for what it has. Recoil could be better, but considering the high rate of fire, I feel like this thing with a sight and just having like steady shot or granulated tape or rubberized could definitely shred some people. And for a 75 round mag, it has a good reload speed. I will not lie. So definitely something worth trying on in my opinion. SL7 Match, I don't really see the wonders of it, honestly. 10 round mag is really good. No denying that. I think it has pretty good damage values as well. It's just the thing is, it's not really a good feeling sniper. It just doesn't really feel good to play with in the right hands. Other people see it otherwise. I've seen a couple of players with their top weapon with the SL7 Match, so maybe I'm missing something with it, but from what I've experienced, I really don't think this is a good sniper. But you can just prove me wrong, honestly. M1911, this thing is good too. 12 rounds in the mag, good damage values for a pistol. I think it does 70 to the head, I believe. If that, or I'm thinking of Luger. But 12 rounds for a semi-auto pistol is good. Good hard-hitting damage values for a semi-auto pistol as well. Controllable recoil, of course. Just overall a pretty good secondary. Nothing really much to say. It's your good old reliable. The model sniper. I don't see much in it either. I think it has 11 rounds in the mag. Definitely the highest out of all the sniper rifles. Good rate of fire as well. 1 taps to the head of all ranges. You can definitely make work with this thing. It's just, the same case for the SL7. I don't have much experience with it, and I can't really make a good judgment on it, and it doesn't really feel good in my hands personally, so I'm bumping it to C tier for that reason. Tommy gun, this is underwhelming, I feel. It feels so underwhelming to the point that I might actually consider making it D tier, but for now, I'll put it in C tier. This thing just doesn't really scream good SMG and or assault rifle hybrid. 20 rounds in the mag right now. It has an integrated Cobra sight, which not many people really prefer. I definitely don't prefer the Cobra sight. I would much rather have a simple dot in the middle of my sight so I can precisely hit my targets. It doesn't have a good rate of fire. I don't think its damage values are good either because of it. I don't think it can even 3-tap, even towards the head. I could be very wrong on that. Either way, my opinion still stands on a Tommy gun. I don't think it's really that good as a submachine gun, and I desperately think it needs a revamp in order to make it any more useful than it already is right now. Good old Vector. I actually really like this thing. 900 rounds per minute, very good rate of fire. 24 rounds from the usual, I think, like 18 in the past. So definitely a good needed buff there. This thing it has recoil, but it doesn't have much to where it's like not controllable. It's also a pretty good feeling SMG too for what it is. Honestly, I really enjoy using this thing when I get to use it. You may want to put on something like a vertical grip and granulate it in order to make this thing controllable at longer ranges. But other than that, definitely a good submachine gun. Skorpion. This thing is accurate for what it is. Not that much recoil and shooting on over 1,000 rounds per minute. This thing can definitely kill fast, especially at close range. And combined with the low recoil, feels like it can actually compete with some of the assault rifles maybe. Or maybe some of the longer range submachine guns. The only really downside is the 30 round mag, because shooting at 1,000 rounds per minute, that magazine is going to be gone in one gunfight. Make sure you hit your shots with this thing, because this is somewhat of a pea shooter as well, in terms of damage from that. With this will shred, it definitely will. G11. I feel like if you're going to use a burst weapon that's like just a burst weapon in general, like the Famas or the G11, you should be using the G11 over the Famas. This thing almost has no recoil by default. Kills fast if you get your shots in. Like, I think it's just one headshot, then 2 body shots, and the opponent's dead at almost any range. This thing is a beast if you get your shots in. No lie. I was testing it out on the PTR, and I'm hitting my shots, and the players die fast with this thing. It's just, you know, with the burst delay, it doesn't really help it, because missing shots with any burst rifle just makes your time to kill that much longer. But, you know, this is definitely a good burst weapon, because it fits the role of a long-range burst assault rifle that's capable of killing fast and having low recoil with all that. Not to mention it has a 48-round magazine, which is higher than the Famas's and will definitely get you longer in the gunfight. Not to mention, I believe it shoots faster than the Famas. If not, it's equal to it. Not sure on that, but I wouldn't recommend the G11, or at least trying it out. KEL-TEC? I don't see why people would use the KEL-TEC, honestly. I used to use this thing a lot back in the alpha days, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know what happened to it, honestly. It doesn't feel good anymore. The recoil's too high for a semi-automatic rifle that shoots fast. The 21 mag is good for it though, for how fast it fires. It just feels uncontrollable though at some, and like maybe even at medium close range. It can kill fast if you land your shots in, but are you really going to be doing it with those iron sights? Camera shake is also pretty horrid on this thing too. I don't really warrant much use of the KEL-TEC, especially nowadays. Mark 14, also a bad weapon to use. 10 rounds, one taps to the head at fairly longer ranges, but you would need to like use something like a monolithic suppressor in order to have it at those ranges. Low rate of fire, doesn't really feel good to shoot either. Definitely not a good rifle, honestly. I was having a horrible time trying to get this thing Damascus Gold. Was not having a good time. Jack HAMR shotgun. Pretty average. 10 rounds in the mag, high fire rate for a shotgun, fully automatic, pretty decent damage values for it. It's a shotgun that'll get the job done, especially if you want to be a very spammy shotgun user. The Jack HAMR will be the one for you. It's just, you know, it's a shotgun. It's not really going to be outclassing any submachine guns anytime soon, and especially if you're missing a lot of your pellets. And this thing is a pretty bad hip fire spread, so you're not exactly going to be killing people fast with this thing either, but you can make do with it. It's not the worst thing. Crossbow, I don't see much warrant use of the crossbow either. It can one tap at close range to the torso, which is a good thing. Iron sights are horrible for it, however. Pretty long reload, 1 arrow, because of course it's a crossbow. It doesn't even do good at range either, I don't think. And just from the limited experience I had with the crossbow, I really do not find this thing fun to use. So crossbow, D tier for me. Remington, it's the starter shotgun. It gets the job done. I hate people using this thing just from like beginner players in general, because I just hate going up against shotguns in general. I really do. And the Remington's no exception. 6 shells, pretty decent. It feels like a pea shooter for the most part though, if you're trying to use this thing as a serious shotgun. It just doesn't get kills for some reason. But for some reason people can snipe me at 140 damage from like 50 dust away with this shotgun. I don't know how they do it. Saiga, it's falling off, honestly. 10 rounds. Pretty spammy shotgun too, but it does pitiful damage for what it does. Hipfire spread is good on this thing, but I don't really find myself using it if I'm gonna be using a shotgun. If I'm using a shotgun, I expect it to do good damage and beat some machine gun users, not have it so where I have to spam 6 shots at someone at close range and not kill them. You know, take that as you will. Spaz 12, surprisingly pretty good. It feels like a pea shooter as well. compared to other shotguns. 7 rounds in the mag, pretty good. Also a pretty good hip fire spread for it. Iron sights are horrible though because of the folded stock as part of the irons. You could definitely get away with using it though. Nothing wrong with that. STG, pretty average. Slow rate of fire of 540 rounds per minute, making it one of the slowest firing guns in the game, period. It makes up for it with accuracy and damage, with it able to being 3-tap at pretty significant ranges. I think like up to 200, maybe even 250 studs if you put a monolithic suppressor on it. Pretty insane ranges on this thing. I'm really looking forward to its attachments though one day. This thing will definitely be a long range beast if it gets attachments. So we'll just wait on that, I guess. Hallowed Blaster. I like the Hallowed Blaster a lot, actually. Really low recoil for its 4-round burst. Good damage values for it. This thing can beam, surprisingly. If you put like a granulated tape and steady shot and just have a good sight on it, this thing will definitely kill some people at medium ranges for sure. I would recommend you guys trying that out. Spellbook, it's a pretty decent close range machine, but that's the most it'll do. It's only good for close range. You can't aim down sights with it. It does really good damage to a close range to make up for it. 20 rounds is good. It has a pretty decent fire rate. Reload's slow though. There's not much use for the spellbook, honestly. And then finally, this is the weirdest one, the Icicle Launcher. I don't know where to put this thing. I've been hearing from some content creators that this thing is utterly busted and needs to be nerfed. Like it's a shotgun disguised as a rifle, or you know the reverse, the rifle disguised as a shotgun. It does really good damage at long ranges, seemingly. It also has a folded stock attachment, which is pretty interesting. But from personal experience, I've barely used this thing at all because I never gotten the chance to use it outside of gun game and randomizers, and even then, I haven't spawned with it much. For me, I'd say this is like C tier. It can definitely get kills, but you know, I don't really have much of a opinion for it, so I can't say much. And there you go. That is my tier list. The rest of these are just duplicate images on the bottom, and I'm not using this SS tier spot. So at the lowest of the low, we have the Gyrojet Mark 1, the M1 Garand, Snowball Launcher, Flail, Poleaxe, Skorpion, KEL-TEC, Mark 14 crossbow, and the Saga 12. Got the G17 Luger Greatsword, Rolling Back Rifle, Viking Axe, P90, SL7 Match, Model Sniper, Tommy Gun, Jackhammer, Remington 870, Spaz 12, STG, Spellbook, and Icicle Launcher at C tier. Then for B tier, we've got some pretty good guns here. Got the G36C, AK-47 Galil, FMG9, the Judge, the M16, the Double Barrel, the Model 1887 Shotgun, Riot Shield, Scar Hammer, the L85, the Area Strike, Magnum, Raygun, Bow and Arrow, Mosin, Sako, MP7, SKS, FAL, Sten Gun, PP19 Bizon, Dragunov, Navy Revolver, MG34, M1911, Kriss Vector, Skorpion Evo, G11, and the Hallowed Blaster. And then A tier, this is where stuff gets real. We got the ARX 160, the Famas, the Honey Badger DSR 50, the MP5, M4A1, the M249, Scar H, PPK, the UMP 45, OP, TAR 21, SMO3, G18, Deagle, and the Tech 9. And then we've got the best of the best, the S tier guns, best guns in the game, the AS Val, the AUG 2, the Mac 10, and the Katana secondary melee. I hope you guys enjoy my tier list. Just keep in mind that this is mainly opinionated in what knowledge I have of the game. For all I know, people can be thinking completely different in terms of how they make their tier list. Maybe they like one gun better than the other. Maybe they think one gun performs better over another gun. This is just how I view the guns, what experience I've had, and how they compare to other guns. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about this tier list. Personally, I'm pretty satisfied with it. Thanks for watching. If you are new and like this content, consider liking the video and subscribing for more. I do stream every Friday at 6 p.m. on my YouTube channel, and I also have my other socials linked in the description as well, like my Discord and Twitch. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another Roblox video per usual. I will see you guys next time. Take care, stay safe. Peace.